Singapore. You know, this is a typical story. And this, I mean, you know, you would say that it's normal if it's a non-Malay, but this happens to a Malay. And this is a very sad story on how human capital is treated in Malaysia. But again, you know, if the students do not want to come back and serve, then I think it's fair that GLCs can claim the amount and whatnot because they invested such an amount. I think that's only fair. And it's also fair that the students pay back the sponsors that send them, since that is also not their money, but you know, it's people's money, and there are other scholars further down the line who wants to go to further their studies. Another problem that you have with the present scholarship system is the narrow emphasis. Most of the scholarships that are available are for applied subjects such as engineering, law, medicine, or accountancy. You know, it's a typical thing. If you're bright, you know, you do medicine. If you're not good with biology, then you do engineering. If you're not good with science, you do law. If you're good with numbers, you do accountancy. I mean, that's a typical Malaysian mindset. And that is again very restrictive. You see people in the UK, people in the US, people in Singapore even, they do a wide variety of courses, the humanities, the arts, and even pure sciences, mathematics, physics. We need bright people. You know, in Malaysia, if you do physics, then they say nak jadi cikgu. That's typical. I mean, not to be a, you know, people who will win Nobel Prizes are physicists, are mathematicians. But in Malaysia, the mindset that you have is that, you know, you just do these 4 subjects. So we need to broaden the subjects that are available to get these people to come in. You know, even subjects like accountancy is actually not available in Oxford or Cambridge. So, you know, we need to get bright nations to have a better choice. Because then they can, if they want to be an accountant, they can do history and later do an ACCA. There's nothing wrong with that. It's quite typical in the UK, but in Malaysia it's something very rare. You do accounting from your Form 4 until your professional qualification. So this is, I think, very important because I understand that at the beginning of our development, when we wanted to develop, these 4 subjects are crucial to our development. But as we move up the value chain, we need to expose our brightest, best and brightest students to a wider variety of subjects in order for the country to move up. Moving forward, ladies and gentlemen, I think in the long term, as I've emphasized from the beginning, we must also bear in mind on the need to balance sending students abroad and investing in our own local education system. You know, if there's nothing wrong in Singapore, for example, a lot of people go overseas because they cannot get a place in the NUS. I wish that they will come through when people go overseas just because they cannot get a place in UM, because people really want to go to local universities. And I think that's something that we should consider in the long term. That should be taken part into the consideration of the subject. So the issue of scholarships cannot be viewed in isolation from the broader issues of higher education reform in the country. Furthermore, private corporations too should move in. They do now, but more in terms of, you know, getting tax exemptions or a PR thing. But they should also see giving scholarships as their investment in the Malaysian human capital. Because when you have better talents in Malaysia, that would benefit the economy as a whole, would benefit each Malaysian corporation. And again, I would like to emphasize that we must avoid seeing scholarships as an issue of racial zero-sum game, as some in BN wants us to. That is the only way we can move forward. We can convince a lot of the Malays that on their sense of humanity, on the sense of justice, on the ability to come up with something new, something better, something fairer for all Malaysians. A great flaw in the Malaysian thinking towards scholarships is that they tend to veer towards absolutes. Some believe it should be completely meritocratic, while others feel it should be based on ethnic demographics or financial needs. The best possible solution, in my opinion, lies somewhere in between, where all talented students should be given a chance to study. It is also important to ensure that young people from these advantaged groups, from the Orang Asli, from the people in Sabah and Sarawak, from poor Malays, Chinese and Indians in the countryside, in the squatter areas, to be given a chance to join this body of scholars. Racial diversity can also be taken into an account, because we do not want to have just one race, for example, to dominate the scholars, but it should only come after merit and need in terms of consideration. So ladies and gentlemen, I think at the end of the day, to really come with a policy to move forward in the country, what we need is to have I think we need to call all the stakeholders. We need to call all the stakeholders to sit down, to really think about what's best for the country. If we have good Chinese scholars who come back and serve the country, every Malaysian will benefit, including the Malays. If we have good Malay scholars who come back and serve the country, who get an opportunity to study at the best universities, everyone will benefit. You know, it doesn't, you know, this thinking that, you know, by having a lot of professionals from one race, that race will benefit, I think that's very narrow-minded thinking in the past. But definitely, we need to have a balanced implementation. Every Malaysian needs to feel that they have a say. That is also very important. So I think that is what I want to say today. And I think at the end of the day, that's what is very important to have every Malaysian to sit down to see how we can move forward. Right now, the policy is very knee-jerk. You know, JPA announced something, people protest, and they come up with some jumbled up policy. Then next year, the same thing happens. But the best way is to sit down and see how we can have a roadmap to the future, how we can chart the future course for the higher education as a whole. And if we need to do it gradually, then I think I'm all for it. If, you know, it might be for the interest of all Malaysians to do it gradually rather than have a big bang, change everything, fine. But at least we have, we know where we are going, where we are heading, how long it takes to do that. I think, I mean, the government is trying to do something like that, what we saw from before. But again, you know, that is not clear cut. We don't know what is going to be the policy next year, what's going to be policy 5 years ahead. You know, so those things I think are very important when we talk about scholarships in Malaysia. Thank you.